Here's a lesson on reharmonizing music. Since it's Christmas time, I've chosen a very simple song, Silent Night, and I'll play it for you right now. I'm sure you know it. Here starts with a 1 chord. It just stays on the 1 chord. Here's a 5/7. Back to 1. Here's a 4 chord. 1, 4, 1, 5/7, 1, 5/7, 1. Now, if we have a 1 chord that lasts for a long time, one of the things that we can do is we can play, for instance, a turnaround during that time. Or we could play, in this case, what I've chosen is a 1-4-5-1. So here's 1, 4, 5 to the 1. Now, I'm using open voicings or 4-part harmony, and there are lessons on this in JazzSkills for piano. In fact, there are lessons on all of the reharmonizing ideas in JazzSkills for piano. So on bar 3, again, we're on the 1 chord, but this time we're going to the 4, and we're going to play the tritone sub, which is an F or an F7, and we're going to go to an E chord. There's an E sus. Okay, now why did we go to the E? Well, if you notice, the next measure is a D7. Okay, anytime you land on a 5/7 chord, in this case a D7, you can substitute A minor or its 2 for that 5/7. So instead of landing on D, we'll land on A minor and possibly go to the D if we want. That's a typical reharmonization right there. So what I did, I took the E, which is the 5/7 of A minor, and I played that the measure ahead. So now here's the E, and I used a sus chord. So here's the A minor. Now, as I said, I could have gone to D7. That'd be pretty typical. In this case, I didn't. I went to an F sharp minor flat 5. F sharp half diminished. And then we're going to a B or a B7. Now, why did I do that? Well, the next chord after that is a G chord, a 1 chord. And a very typical substitution is to play the E minor for G. They're very similar. You notice almost the same chord. So it's the 6th chord of G. Now, if you'll notice, I didn't go to E minor. I went to G. It was my choice. But I used the 5, or rather the 2/5 that I was going to use for E minor. And then I went to G. We'll move on. Now I'm going to the 5/7 of C, which is coming up. I use the 5/7. Here's the 4 chord. Now we'll play a C sharp diminished. And I like this chord, diminished chord, because it relates very closely to the F sharp 7th. Okay, This chord works with G major because it's the tritone of C, which is the 4 chord. And so it sounds very nice. Listen to this. If I go from F sharp to G, sounds very nice. So here it is. Tritone of C, and this time I'm going to go to the 2-5-1. Now I'm going to use a G7th, and I'm going to go to C, the 4 chord. We'll do it again with the diminished F sharp, and this time we're going to play G and go down chromatically. If you go down chromatically, it's like playing tritone subs, because F sharp is a tritone sub of F, which is the tritone sub of E. And again, instead of D7th, we're going to A minor. Here's the F sharp, half diminished again to B, and this time I'm going to E. Okay, now I'm going to an A7th chord, which is the 2. Now I want to explain something about, normally the 2 is a minor chord. But one rule that you can use is that at any time you want to, especially if it works in the melody, you can change a minor chord to a dominant chord. In this case, it's just a choice. So here is my A. It could have been like a 2-5-1, but in this case, it's an A. And then I'm going to play a C minor major 7th. Okay. That is going to go to G. Here's a tritone sub to E, to 2, 5. Now we're going to go to A flat major 7th. Now, a lot of times jazz players, when they're landing on a 1 chord, especially when it's a 1 major 7th, they'll land a half step above the 1 chord. So we're going to G major 7th. We can land on the A flat. It creates a little tension. If I'm going back to the top of the tune, I will use a 2-5. So let me play the whole thing now. Here's the reharm. I hope you could follow that. Now I'm going to have some fun. I'm just going to play. And some of these things that I'll be playing you'll understand, and some they'll just come out spontaneously, and we'll talk about them in future lessons. But I want to give you an idea of playing Silent Night as a jazz tune.